Everybody, welcome back to the Smoky Mountains and this little getaway for another mic talk here on Song and Sword. Thank you guys for being with me. I'm praying for you. Those of you who can continue to send in text messages for me to pray, I'm praying for you. By the way, just to let you know, that's not really a place for you to kind of have conversation back and forth. Just put your name and what I need to pray for you, and God will take care of all that. And so thank you guys for being with me. It is Friday. And it's a little chillier today. As you can see, we're bundled up some. I really should have gloves on. But it is Friday, so it's cinnamon roll day. So I hope you find a cinnamon roll, something sweet to eat with some coffee, and get your day going. We're going to get in the Word today, in Colossians chapter 3. And we're continuing this theme of peace. We'll today and tomorrow, and then we'll do something else when it comes to next Monday. But I want to read this passage from Colossians 3. Paul wrote the letter to the Ephesians and to the Colossians, and he uses some of the same language here. Remember in Ephesians chapter 6, he uses this language about what you should put on the armor of God, the full armor of God. He uses the same kind of language here. It's a dressing language in Colossians chapter 3, verse 12. I'm going to read down to 16 or to 15 and talk about how we get peace. But verse 12 of chapter 3 of Colossians says this: "Put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, bearing with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony." Now he says all that, and it comes to this: "And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful." Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. It literally is a throne room word. It means let the peace that comes from Jesus Christ be the thing that's sitting on your throne. Now, what in the world does that mean? Well, in the context, we kind of get an understanding here. It has to do with the way we have peace toward one another and the way that we love one another. Look at all these words that have to do with relationships with other people: compassionate, humility, meekness. So just think of this: I got to care about some other people. I got to be humble and not see myself as greater than them. I've got to be meek. I'm not going to go hard charging, loud mouthed in. I'm not going to force my way. I'm going to forgive each other. I'm going to bear with each other. We can't have peace of Christ ruling in our hearts unless we have peace with others. In that same way that Paul wrote a lot of the same similar Christian traits to other churches, in Ephesians chapter 6, Ephesians chapter 5, he writes this about God drawing down. Wait a minute. Ephesians chapter 3, sorry. This is the quality you've come to expect on Mike Talks. Ephesians chapter 3:16, he talks about how God, through his death, broke down the walls of hostility. There was in Jerusalem, in the temple, an actual wall, a small wall about 3 feet high that Gentiles could not pass into to worship. By penalty of death, there was a sign actually said, "You can't pass this wall or you're going to die." It's possible that Paul was talking about this dividing wall of conflict between the Gentiles and the Jews that Jesus broke down, therefore bringing peace. How is it that the peace of Christ can rule in our hearts? It's not easy. I'm just going to tell you. Sarah and I have gone through some really, really incredible 3 or 4 weeks experiences where we are working hard at finding peace with some other people. And maybe you are too. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a family member, maybe somebody's hurt you deeply, maybe you don't understand what's going on, maybe you're afraid, but there's somebody in your life that it's really hard to have peace with. And the only thing I know to say is to keep coming back to these words and trusting that the peace of God that came through Jesus Christ when he tore down the walls between the Jews and the Gentiles is the same peace that he can bring to us. That he can tear down the walls of doubt. He can tear down the walls of fearful of what somebody else is going to do to us. He can tear down the walls of loneliness because of division. He can tear down the walls of wanting to revenge and get back at those people. He can break down all those walls, and he does it by me being compassionate towards other, me being meek towards other, me being humble towards the other, me having an idea that I'm just going to bear with the other person and forgive them. Do I always want to bear with people who are mean? No. Do I want to forgive people who I think have done me wrong? No. You don't either. No human does. But that's what God calls us to. That's the peace of Christ. The peace of Christ rules in our hearts. We know the peace of Christ has throne room in our heart when we can give these attributes towards others, between whom maybe we have some conflicts and we're not at peace. That's the challenge for the day. You're going to have to think that over a cinnamon roll and maybe pray this through the day. Is the peace of Christ ruling in your heart today? If it is, you'll find yourself being compassionate and kind and bearing with one another. God bless you guys. We'll see you on Saturday for a Mic Talk.